Today, we're going to take a deep dive into a brand new book that unpacks the life's work of one of the most influential Christian thinkers of our time. We're talking about Tim Keller on the Christian Life by Matt Smethurst.
But first, let's start with a question that really gets to the very heart of Tim Keller's thought. What if your biggest problems, the things that keep you up at night, like your career, your family, even your reputation, what if those aren't actually bad things, but good things that you've accidentally made ultimate things? It's a challenging thought, and it's exactly the kind of profound idea this book helps us wrestle with.
So, the book itself is Matt Smethurst's Tim Keller on the Christian Life. And pay attention to that subtitle, The Transforming Power of the Gospel. See, for Keller, the gospel wasn't just a set of rules or good advice, it was news. Good news about what Jesus Christ has already done for us. This book is really a comprehensive look at that one core idea and how it ripples out into every single part of modern life.
All right, so here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with a quick look at Keller's legacy, then jump into the book's big picture. We're going to spend most of our time on his most transformative ideas before we wrap it all up with a final verdict. Sound good? Let's do it.
Okay, so before we can really appreciate the book, we've got to understand the man. Who was Tim Keller? And, why is his work so important that it deserves this kind of deep dive analysis?
Well, here's the thing. Keller was way more than just the pastor of a big church in New York City. He was an institution builder. He co-founded the Gospel Coalition and launched Redeemer City to City, which is this global church planning network. His vision was always bigger than just one city. He was thinking globally from the get-go. Okay, let's pivot to the book itself. How does the author, Matt Smethurst, really unpack the engine behind Keller's entire ministry? What's that one single idea that fueled everything else he did?
Well, Smethurst argues that for Keller, the Bible wasn't just a collection of disconnected morality tales or life lessons. No, he saw it as one single epic story, a single drama unfolding across 66 books and thousands of years, all pointing to one single hero. And here's the kicker. That hero isn't you or me, it's Jesus.
So that's a huge, sweeping idea, right? How on earth do you organize that into a book that people can actually read and understand? Let's take a look at the framework Smethurst uses. He does it brilliantly, actually. Smethurst structures the opening of the book around the 4 biggest questions a person can ask. It creates this simple, really powerful progression: creation, fall, redemption, and restoration. It feels less like an abstract textbook and more like a map of the entire human story.
The book also gives us a peek behind the curtain at Keller's unique 4-step preaching method. It's fascinating. He'd start with a problem we all feel in our bones, then show what the Bible says about it. But then, and this is key, he'd expose why our own hearts just can't do it. And finally, he'd show how Jesus already did it perfectly for us. It's a structure that consistently moved people away from "I need to try harder" to "I need to trust deeper."
All right, now we get to the real heart of the book. Let's dig into 3 of Keller's most powerful concepts that Smethurst really focuses on.
The first huge idea is Keller's Christ-centered way of reading the Old Testament. He taught that every hero, every story, every promise, it was all a shadow, a kind of preview, pointing forward to the ultimate reality that we find in Jesus. And this approach just completely reframes all those familiar stories. Suddenly, David's victory over Goliath isn't just about a kid with a slingshot, it's a preview of Jesus, whose victory becomes our victory. Jonah getting thrown overboard isn't just a weird fish story, it's a picture of Jesus being cast into the storm of God's judgment so that we could be brought safely to shore. It changes everything. And this all leads to this powerful, almost poetic symmetry. Think about it. Sin is basically us trying to substitute ourselves for God. Salvation, then, is God substituting himself for us. Smethurst really shows how this idea of substitution was the absolute bedrock for pretty much everything Keller ever taught. Okay, the second key idea is Keller's go-to diagnostic tool for the human heart. He completely redefined the concept of idolatry for our modern world. He said it's not about little statues, it's about our hearts. It's about taking a good thing, like your family, your career, your success, and making it the ultimate thing, the thing you depend on for your worth and happiness. And this quote from the book just shows how sharp this diagnostic tool is. That nagging feeling of, "I just can't forgive myself," Keller connects it directly to idolatry. He would say it's because you haven't just failed God, you've failed your real God, the idol of success or approval or control, and that God, well, it's completely unforgiving. Wow. And this brings us to one of Keller's most famous and, honestly, most counterintuitive teachings, which comes from the story of the prodigal son. He argued there's more than one way to be lost. The younger brother is obviously lost through his wild living and rule-breaking, but the elder brother, the good one, he's just as lost through his morality and rule-keeping, because he uses his goodness to control God and feels superior to everyone else. It's an amazing insight.
Okay, so we've looked at the core content. Let's step back for a second and give a final evaluation. What kind of book is this, really, and who is it for?
First off, Matt Smethurst's writing is a huge strength here. It's just so clear and accessible. He also relies heavily on direct quotes from Keller, which is great because you really get a feel for Keller's actual voice. Now, the tone is definitely admiring, but the focus is always on faithfully explaining the ideas, not just, gushing about the man.
So, to sum it up, the book's strengths are obvious. It's comprehensive, it's practical, it's inspiring. Its main weakness, if you even want to call it that, is just that it's an admiring portrait. This isn't a critical takedown trying to deconstruct Keller. It's a summary designed to explain and, yes, celebrate his contributions.
So who should read this book? Honestly, it's an incredible guide for anyone who wants to understand Tim Keller's lasting influence, whether you've read all his other books or you're just hearing his name for the first time. It's for anyone out there wrestling with how faith actually connects to the messy reality of life, to our jobs, our relationships, our suffering, and our search for meaning.
And so, in the end, Smethurst's book leaves us right back where we started, with Keller's powerful question turned back on ourselves. After all this, after exploring the transforming power of the gospel, we're left to ask, what good thing in my life have I made my ultimate thing? And what would it look like to put it back in its proper place?